All right, guys. So I've been trying to record a video on Dark Lair, or what's now called Painlock, for the past like 3 days, and it's been really difficult. I think because there's no like broadly accepted list for Painlock right now. Um, and so I ended up building, different versions that I thought would be good. Some of them utilizing some pretty off meta stuff. And I just wanted to do some off the cuff remarks on Painlock, so that you guys would be able to see my perspective as somebody who's played like something like 10,000 games. I have 5,500 wins on Darklair. All of my Warlock wins have been on Darklair, with like maybe 400 or 500 others, with like some classic games and a couple of games. I played Discard Warlock to my first Legend last year in April. Meaning 2020. It's 2021, almost 2022 now. And I really, really like the deck. I think it's still a powerhouse. It might not be tier S anymore, but it's definitely, in my experience of my part of the meta, very, very, very strong. It farms Pirate Warrior. You can outplay Hunter. It just puts big stats on the board, and your opponent can't do much about it a lot of the times, because you'll lock them out with Lotheb, and you'll have your Giants down still as early as turn 4 to 5. So the deck no longer runs Dark Lair. It's not Dark Lair Warlock anymore. It's just Painlock. I'll show you a couple of lists. I'll actually show you my deck building process. I have sort of an out there version that I'm experimenting with, that I think was actually potentially one of the better versions of Painlock, when Mithril Rod cost 3, and still pretty strong when it cost 4. And now that the Rod costs 5, it's kind of too slow. But it aimed to cheat out zero cost Zephyrus, zero cost, 1 to 3 cost Lotheb, so reduced by at least 1 Rod, so you often get Lotheb down for 3 mana. Zephyrus for 0, and then I was running Enhanced Mechano, which would sometimes be as cheap as 0 mana to play. And that version I've actually been unable to find success with current meta, because because it's difficult to make the deck work when Mithril Rod costs 5. However, looking back on my process as to building that deck when it was good, I went like 5-3 or 6-3, with the version that I made that was like somewhat viable. So it wasn't like a huge powerhouse, and I realize I'm on like a tangent. I'm probably going to go on those. As you guys who have been in my stream over at twitch.tv/glare will know, I tend to ramble. So it's just sort of my brain going in all these different directions while I'm talking about the deck. Right now, I'm planning out how to present my Painlock knowledge. Right, so I have this breadth of knowledge. I've watched a lot of streamers. I've played the game for literally thousands of hours, playing Painlock, playing Darklair Warlock when it was Darklair Warlock, experimenting. I've had Lotheb in my deck and not run Lotheb. I've run Enhance, I've not run Enhance. Like, I've tried everything. I run Flame Imps currently, because I think getting the Molten Giants out is extremely important against Pirate Warrior, for instance, or even against Odd Hunter. You have to get low enough that you can play your stuff, and then that they don't kill you. So I run Spellstone when I see a lot of Odd Hunter. So it's like, how do I convey what I know to you guys when I can only talk one word at a time, right? So, without further ado, we're going to hop into my list. I think this was the list I piloted. Yeah, this is the list I piloted when I was like 2,200-ish rank. I'm ranked 3,000 right now. I just cracked 3K like an hour ago. But when I was seeing a lot of Shaman, I wanted to... Living Dragon Breath was a tech card for the freeze Shamans, right? Because they freeze your Giants and you lose, and you play a Dragon Breath and they lose. So I had Spellstone for... because it's good, but because it dealt with the I forget what they're called. The 6 mana used to be 5 mana. I'll look it up. The glacial, whatever it is, freeze. I'm just gonna look it up real quick. It's in Shaman. Sorry, I don't know the names of all the cards. So Snowfall Guardian, especially the newer cards, I don't know all the names of. But Snowfall Guardian is a menace of ladder right now. Like, it's difficult to beat for a lot of decks, and Painlock is no exception. So the opponent would play their Snowfall Guardian, and we play a Living Dragon Breath, and the game's over, and we've won. So this is our cheese. This list, I was running Emerald Reaver. You can sub in Flame Imp, but I didn't want to go too low against Odd Hunter. So this deck is for Odd Hunter, and it's for Shaman, if you're seeing those archetypes. And then I made a couple of changes to the deck. This was my later version going against Pirate Warrior, which I play against a lot of Pirate Warriors. So Flame Imp plus Slinger is a really good combo. Flame Imp could very easily become Spirit Bomb if it needed to. Obviously, the core cards of like Raise Dead, Broomstick, Kobold, Tour Guide don't often change, although I don't have any hard and fast rules, because the only way to improve a deck that's broken is to be open to things not going in the deck, right? Like, you'll notice I don't have Lotheb. But this deck went, I think, 42 and 18. It was something absurd. It was like 40 something and like almost 20. In a meta of a lot of random, because I'm low rank, random fun combo decks and random jank, and also Pirate Warrior and Odd Hunter, right? So you don't need Lotheb. Like, that's something people don't understand. You don't need the cards, right? Like, I've played this deck without Molten Giant before and been successful. You just have to have a call on the meta that, like, hey, meta's not going to be it's not, if I'm not going to be punished for playing a deck that doesn't have Lotheb in it, why am I going to stick to playing Lotheb, right? It's more interesting that way anyway. It's boring to just play the same deck again and again, in my experience anyway, for thousands of hours. I haven't calculated how long I've played, but every Painlock game takes like 10 to 20 minutes. When between queuing and the time spent preparing a deck list, because I edit my decks like constantly, as you guys can see. We'll go on to the next list, which was, I think, the least successful of all of them. This is, wait, hold on a second. Okay, this is just the same list as the one from before, I think. It might be the same list, so I might have gone back to the same list that I had as the first very Painlock Christmas. I'm just looking to see if it was. No, but I took out the Emerald Reaver and put in Flame Imp. I think this list is better. Whoa, I didn't put in Flame Imp. What did I put in? I'm not sure. Was it Happy Ghoul? I don't know. Anyway, that's just it goes to show you, right? Because I've had positive win rates with most of these decks. Actually, I have a positive win rate with most Painlock decks that I play. Actually, most decks that I play, I have a positive win rate, and then I'll like have an idea that's blatantly terrible, and I'll pursue it. I was playing Shaman earlier today. I lost like 300 rank trying to push Overload Shaman, where you just get the Trog, not the new one. The what's it called? Sorry, I have to look it up. See what it's called. Tunnel Trog. This deck is really fun. I'll probably do a spotlight on it another week, but it needs refinement. It's not good enough. Yeah, so with Painlock though, I generally will have a win rate of like 65 to 70% if I sit down, build a solid deck, and try hard it. But yeah, those are the three versions I have built right now. We're actually not going to have much, if any, gameplay this week. It's just going to be me, like I said, and like I have been, talking off the cuff about Painlock. So I'm going to put together a list that's pretty close to what most people accepted last expansion. And that's just like the Battleground Battlemaster version boring, does its job well, yada yada. And then I'm going to make my changes to it, and we'll see what we come up with. And I might play a game with it, I might not. I think this video is going to be about half an hour all told. Might be longer, it might be shorter. I don't know how much editing I'm going to do on the video. I think for this video in particular, the off-the-cuff presentation as if I was on Twitch streaming, I think is the strongest way for me to present this. Again, so that I can get the most information to you guys possible, while at the same time having like a condensed and this is a 30-minute guide for Dark Lair or Painlock kind of approach to the video, right? Like we don't want to go too long and you lose the focus of the video, and we don't want to go too short and you don't understand why Painlock is so good or why I find it, and you probably will find it so fun to play as well as so good in the current meta. So it's Kobold Librarian. I don't run the Mortal Coil right now, but I do run Tour Guide. We're going to take a while building this. I think if I look by golden cards, I goldened my Painlock because I'm a sucker for cosmetics. But it does make it easier to find my cards because I just type in golden and find the cards that I want. So the cards that people were running, I don't think people either ran PO and Tamsin, or they ran Battleground Battlemaster. Touch of the Nathrezim was accepted, but it's not as good now as it used to be. You might have noticed that as I was scrolling by decks, there was a deck called Who Let the Doctor In, I think I was calling it. Sorry. I'm the Doctor Now. This is a list that I was playing yesterday, where I put Voodoo Doctor in, and it's just beat Pirate Warrior the deck. No chance against, most combo decks will destroy this deck because I don't have any interaction with combo. I beat a couple of Ignite Mages, though, just being fast enough. But no Lotheb, Spellstone ×2 with Tamsin, PO, double Flame Imp, double Molten Giant, double Flesh Giant, double Happy Ghoul. And then obviously the pièce de résistance is the Voodoo Doctor, which is not run in any Painlock list, except in Classic. You can run this in Classic format, but in Wild format you probably don't see this very often, but it's really, really good. I used it to replace the Touch of the Nathrezim, because I think Touch of the Nathrezim, unfortunately, is much worse at healing 3 than at healing 4. It's not broken anymore. It doesn't break the game. But I am going to focus on building this this build that we used to see, which does include Touch of the Nathrezim. And like I said, I'll go through my process of editing the deck to see where we end up. We want Broomstick. We want Giant. Molten Giant looks so cool, golden, bro. All right, so we want this this pile of cards sort of shaping up into a Painlock. We need Cheaty Anklebiter. I think it was accepted that you ran 2 in the previous meta. I don't know what that was beating at high legend, but certainly at low legend, it's nice against the Pirate Warriors. And on the climb, you're going to see a lot of Pirate Warrior. To the point that I would almost say like a Galaka Crawler wouldn't be out of place for the beginning of the month. All right. What else do we need? We need Lotheb. And I still don't understand why, but everybody was hyped for a Netheron and Knoll, and people were even running Recombobulator. So I kind of took a break from Hearthstone from Painlock. I didn't play as much Painlock. I was mainly messing around with Druid combos when the Battleground Battlemaster and Netheron Knoll stuff was really popular. So I'm open to being wrong. I just haven't had anybody sit me down and be like, this is why, Battleground Battlemaster and a Netheron and Knoll is the way to go. And then I'm sure once I understood it, I'd understand it. But that's a thing that I haven't bought into the Knolls and the Netheron yet. Knoll seems inconsistent, and you don't always have a full hand, and a Netheron is a high roll card, and we want the consistent, like, Flesh Giant always costs 0 by turn 5. Netheron can cost 6 on turn 5 and be unplayable. Although you can play the deck to be able to have the Netheron be there. I don't buy into it though, because like you need the Netheron, you need to have that full hand. You're playing Handlock and you're Painlock, so you're like dumping tour guides and Nathrazims and Kobold Librarians and Cheaty Ankle Biters and Ghouls, and then somehow in the mid game you have enough hand volume, like your hand is full enough to be able to play a Netherons. I don't know, I don't get it. The high roll of getting a Netheron on like 2 or 3 is pretty cool though. Like I see that for sure. Like I see the bait that I think people are falling for. But again, like I might be wrong, but I just don't see it. I like a consistent Painlock list. That's why I'll run like more 1 and 2 cost stuff than a lot of people in my lists generally. Drain Soul gets run. I don't think people were on Spellstone. What did we have? I actually don't remember. So this isn't like my list, so it's a little harder to get to what exactly was being run. Let me double check. My brother was he's been kind enough to help me. He's been really involved in Hearthstone over a long period of time, so he's gotten really good at it, and he was like, here's the list that people are on. Because I will often kind of go off on my tangents with Painlock and be like, I do watch, I've watched streamers play plenty of Painlock, but for my own part, I enjoy the deck building aspect of it more now that I'm like considered good at the deck. Like I have the basics down. At least I hope I do. Talk more about what the game plan is in a little bit about like how you want to find your premium 1-drops and which 1-drops are premium, which ones aren't. But for the most part, I found it. So we're gonna copy this deck code. For the most part, you kind of just want to find your cards that are gonna win the particular matchup you're in. So you would keep Lothab against like a mage, for instance. Forgot to put Backfire in. That's embarrassing. And Solarium and Shadowblade Slinger was accepted. Or you could run Neophyte instead of the Slinger. So I'm just gonna call this the old list, and it's the BGBM list. And then we're gonna copy. Actually, how do I want to do this? I want to show you guys how this version of the deck should function, or tell you how it should function, and then alter the deck so that it fits what I think the meta is right now, and at least at my rank. Like I can't do, I can't do more than I can do, but I can offer you guys how to beat Pirate Warrior and how to beat Odd Hunter, which are the menaces where I'm at. I don't see any Painlock, which I'm pretty surprised by. I guess people are scared off by the Shamans, which I actually have a decent win rate into. I go like 50-50 or 55-45 with me being in the advantage against Shamans at my rank, but I think higher rank, it's going to be harder for the Painlock. People who don't know how to like manage their resources will lose to Painlock if the Painlock player knows how to manage their resources. So yeah. Yeah, this is just the old list, and I think I would probably be running Shadowblade Slinger over Neophyte if I was in like today's meta with these cards being available. And initially, I do just want to cut the Anetheron Gold Charnel and only run Battleground Battlemaster and Flesh Giant and Molten Giant and Lothab, and put in like Tamsin PO. I'm not gonna do it though. I'm gonna leave this deck as it is, and we're gonna go to the other builds of Painlock. So this list, as you guys can see, I don't agree with it in its entirety, but it's fine. Like everybody's gonna have their list of Painlock, and clearly Anetheron and Null are powerful cards. So it's not like I completely disagree. I just don't yet feel like this list is my list, right? Like I haven't adopted it to be my own. And so, I'm going to talk a little more about the list I've been playing. I played this list to like 2,500 from 3,000, and then played bad decks and decayed back down. I still think Happy Ghoul is the nuts, but the weird inclusions here are I'm running 2 Flame Imps and 2 Voodoo Doctors. So here we're going to talk about the buzzword that I brought up before, which is premium 1-drops. So I think I actually made that phrase up with Tiger Eye and myself. We did a guide on Painlock Darkglare like a year ago that I've been meaning to talk to him about re-upping, but I guess this here is sort of a guide in the same vein that the guide Tiger Eye and I did was a guide for Painlock. But yeah, this list here is built to beat Warrior 90% of the time. And it does that. It wins against Warrior 80 to 90% of the time. At least it should. It can struggle if you don't find the spellstones, I guess. But if you're mulliganing correctly, paying attention to your outs and not going too low on health, you're gonna have a really good chance against Power Warrior. So the reason the Flame Imps are in this deck is because they have a sticky body and they help you activate the Molten Giants. So you just don't play them if they're not going to help your game plan, right? You always have cards in hand as Painlock. That's the beauty of the deck. You have Backfire. You have the Warlock hero power, which is the most busted hero power in the game. Draw a card, take 2 damage. And yeah, the whole deck just synergizes with itself so well. This deck is running a lot of healing. So we have the Voodoo Doctor, the Cheaty Ankle Biter, the Drain Soul, and the Spellstone all activating the Happy Ghoul. And the Happy Ghoul and the Flesh Giant are activated by those 8 sources. The Molten Giant is activated just because aggro decks, deal 20 damage to you. You have a 0-cost Molten Giant. For instance, although you can accelerate that process, like I played against a priest about a week ago, and he knew what he was doing. And they'll start to heal your face so that you can't play the Molten Giants. They'll renew your face. I think he was a Divine Spirit Inner Fire, and he won anyway. But what you do is you Flame Imp, and if you have it, Spirit Bomb, and Kobold Librarian Tour Guide, and tap, and just deal damage to yourself until you can play the Molten Giant. And you're in like this kind of weird race where you're trying to damage yourself enough to play the Molten Giants. They're trying to heal you out of range of playing the Molten Giants, and like it's a really interesting tussle between the Painlock player and the Priest player, because Priest can basically heal for as much as they need to, right? Their hero power counteracts the negative part of our hero power, which is actually positive for the Painlock player, which is the fact that we have a pain element attached to our hero power, which draws us a card. So like I was saying, all that's to say that Flame Imp is good in the deck because it activates Molten Giant, activates Flesh Giant, is a 1-mana 3/2, and just kind of bodies, helps us as a deck to body the Pirate Warriors. And then against Odd Hunter, you just don't play the Flame Imp, or if you're high enough health, you play it to activate a Flesh Giant and to activate the Spellstone, which can just be used to clear a questline reward, and that can often just win you the game. One thing I miss about this old, like the old versions of Painlock that were Darkglare Warlock, I miss that you used to be able to go Darkglare and then clear a board of the 2/1s, the Leper Gnomes that spout out of the Odd Hunter's side quest. So the odd questline hunter has the side quest of Toxic Reinforcements, and you used to be able to kill the reinforcements, the Leper Gnomes, and then just play a Flesh Giant, because your health would have changed like five times, because you like cheaty the thing and then Tour Guide tap and then Broomstick, and you've changed your health total enough that the Flesh Giant's just free. But you can't do that, so we're not as good into Odd Hunter as we used to be before the nerfs. This build here, though, I feel like is really well positioned in the meta. that I face anyway. And if you need to tech a Living Dragon Breath for one of the Flame Imps, you just do that. The deck can be made malleable. It's quite good. So yeah, without further ado, I think we are actually going to queue into a game or two, and we'll talk macro level decision making, which is really what we're trying to teach you guys in this video series, is the macro level of how to deck build and how to play Hearthstone across decks, but then specifically also to dive in the Gaming with Glare series in particular. I'm trying to dive into certain decks that I've homebrewed for the most part. This is a homebrew, obviously. I'm not. I haven't been super clear about that yet, but like this is my build of Painlock for this expansion. And I really don't see too much Painlock on the ladder, which I'm disappointed in, actually. I think it's a really fun list. But yeah, where was I going with that? We're gonna try to find a game, and I'm gonna try not to lose my top 3,000 ranking, which doesn't really matter, but it's nice to be higher ranking. As it feels good if you can build a deck and start climbing with it. I was doing my climbing today with a list of what's it called? Tax Paladin, Death and Taxes. I went like 30 and 15. I'll have to share that list on. I'll link my Twitter in the description of the video, as well as Twitch and all the other stuff that I do. That's all that I do. It's just Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. And you guys know that I have YouTube because you're accessing this here. But yeah, we're gonna find one game, I think. And I'm going to play suboptimally because I'll be talking to you guys through the game. But that's just kind of how it's going to be. It's really hard to play this deck, and it's harder to play it while you're discussing the plays. And like, I'll be talking macro, like I said. Sort of went on a tangent there. I apologize. But macro level discussion of Painlock is the goal of this video. We've been doing that so far, and I want to continue to do that as we're kind of diving into the nitty gritty of playing a game. So this guy's a priest. I mainly see Shadow Priest, so we're going to take the gamble that it's Shadow Priest and just keep the Spellstone. Spellstone being active on 4 is a game winner. So we're digging for Kobold Librarian, Flame Imp, and Cheaty Anklebiter. We don't actually want Tour Guide because it doesn't activate the Spellstone. And if he's a control priest, it just becomes a grindy, long game, and we probably lose because we're not running Lotheb. But I don't see that variant very often. Okay. This hand is trash. We're going to have to figure out how to win. His name is Meme Lover. He's probably on a meme. I like that name. So we tap on 2. A really important thing with this deck is to always have a 1-2-3 curve that involves drawing cards or playing a really powerful minion in the particular matchup. So if you're in an aggro matchup, it's okay to have Kobold Librarian into Raise Dead, Kobold Librarian, Broomstick, or something like that to clear, say, like two pirates or something in an early game matchup. In a Pirate Warrior matchup, or an odd rogue matchup if you find an odd rogue on the ladder. But yeah, we've kind of faltered. We didn't have a turn 1. We could have played the Broomstick to fill the Raised Dead, but that would have been a mistake. Wow, this is a bad draw. We're just not fast enough, man. I think we're going to be cheating our own face next turn. We have a Flesh Giant in hand, so we want to get that threat out. We just didn't draw well this game. We're going to lose because we didn't draw well. We could have drawn Kobold Librarian into Kobold Librarian into, Cheaty Anklebiter into Voodoo Doctor into Flesh Giant on 4. But it just didn't happen. Alright, so we're going to go Tour Guide tap first. You generally want to tap before you do other things, but I don't always do that. Sometimes you have to, say, make space for a backfire. Or, there's like a lot of reasons why you would want to make certain plays a certain way. By the way, I positioned that for Zeph Betrayal. Although he would probably never play Betrayal here, but we want the 3/3 to remain healthy. If we put the 2/1 in the middle, I guess I could have put the 1/1 in the middle actually. He's also not playing. He's not playing Painlock. I don't know why I tried to position for Betrayal just out of like. I think somebody must have told me position for Betrayal when I was like new to the deck. We always win this matchup. This is a good matchup for us. That might seem odd, but it's actually a very good matchup for us. Because their deck is not very good. We don't want to kill his minion off. We need to present a board and get lucky he doesn't have like Hysteria or something. This matchup, I guess, is a little worse than it used to be. Because we are running no Lotheb. I'm going to tap here. See what we find. Flame Imp. And what's died so far? I haven't been fully paying attention because I've been talking to you guys. So we just have to double check. It's just Happy Ghoul. So we trade this. Ray's dead. Yep. Happy Ghoul. Less Giant. Okay, we didn't have enough time to attack. It doesn't matter. So macro level, that turn was pretty good. I decided to kill the thing off because we can now deal with a raised deaded. A resurrected Fellcracked Colossus or Scrapyard Colossus. We couldn't deal with it before we drew the cards that we drew. So before we got the draw order and the play order of the cards, we couldn't have dealt with a. There's like two avenues, right? We couldn't have dealt with the Colossus getting resurrected, and now we can, and we couldn't. So he can't deal with the Flesh Giant, maybe. Leaving the Flesh Giant on full health, and we were definitely playing it this turn, but leaving it on full health opened us up to being Hysteria'd. So we're actually in a really good place right here, I think. Backfire. Try to get the Flesh Giant out. The Molten Giant. And we're going to... We're going to do one of these. And... I guess we do... This is a really awkward turn. I don't want to use the PO unless I have to. I could Solarium. I didn't want to burn cards, but now we're going to discard cards. It's a gamble. We're looking at the deck list here, which you guys should be able to see. Apologies if you can't, but I have the deck code is in Firestone, which I use for my deck tracker. We're going to trade fully, I guess. And I guess we're just going to ping his face for healing. So next turn, we're trying to set up to Tamsin double Spellstone. And we're trying to not get hit with the Shadow Essence into Statue. Statue is devastating because it's healing and it's destroying our board. And he just reses it a bunch of times. But yeah, we need a minion to stick, and we need burst damage. Our win con here is to go wide, not get cleared because he doesn't think it's a threat, and like plays Shadow Essence or something, and then to go Tamsin double Tamsin double Spellstone and PO for lethal. So we're gonna lead here. Actually, we don't need double Spellstone, so we're going to lead with a Backfire, which looks weird, right? It looks like a mistake, but we lead with that, and then we play the Molten Giant. We're going to hold resources back here. We don't play the Flesh Giant because we have Broomstick with Flesh Giant to clear a rezzed card, So I'm playing this very consciously, and I think we win. We're waiting until we find the second PO. We're waiting until we need the flesh giant. Like, you could have committed fully, and there's no reason to put all your chips on the table here. It just doesn't make sense to. All right, he might have a combo. Does he have a combo here? No, it was created. It was created by palm. I was off palm reading, not Thrive in the Shadows. Okay, so he's just giving us extra health on our 8-10. He didn't kill it. That's incredibly funny. We don't have enough damage to kill him though. Kobold Librarian first. See what we find. Voodoo Doctor definitely gets played. One of those. And now if he has Hysteria, it's not enough to clear us. Next turn we can Tamsin, Power Overwhelming, draw the entire rest of the deck. So if he has Hysteria here, and another clear, we could be screwed. There's a Molten Giant in the deck. I'm going to play a Flesh Giant here in attack phase. He could have Mind Blast and play either reduce cost Mind Blast and Velen, or Vargoth and Mind Blast, and that's like I think the only way he wins this game. But I think if we clear our own minions, we're presenting a situation where we like can't play the Broomstick and clear it. We can't play the Tamsin and clear it. And if we clear one of our own minions, we leave ourselves more open to Hysteria on the 8-10. I could have like Drain Souled the 8-10 maybe. That might have been the play actually. It's like 5-head thinking, right? To be like, yeah, if he Hysteria's the 8-10, it's bad, right? Because you know. You don't necessarily think about that when you're just starting out with a deck like this, but it's a real concern. Okay, so we did have the Hysteria for 1 mana. We have a Molten Giant left in the deck and a Raised Dead. We need this to not hit the good stuff. Okay, he didn't get the goods. That's good. Also, like, Drain Souls on his minions are valuable later. I don't really want to play the Tamsin Solarium here. I could Tamsin Solarium, play a bunch of Drain Souls, and then die to Hysteria. We're going to do that. Should be a pretty unlucky scenario here. So we have 9 cards in hand. We need to dump a card before we play. Before we play the Molten Giant. I don't actually want to play the Solarium. It's a good thing we didn't hit the Power Overwhelming, actually, now that I think of it. We're going to go Tour Guide. We're going to tap, looking for Molten Giant. Nice. Molten Giant. Raised Dead. Triple Spellstone. Cost more mana than we have. Alright. So you do this in waves, where the first wave very often doesn't connect. The second wave is our further attempt, and then our last-ditch effort will be probably conceding here, but often you'll go Power Overwhelming and like have a giant left in the deck or something. So that lives, but we need that minion to live, and he has 7 mana to kill it, and he's Big Priest. So this is a really good example of why you shouldn't give up if we don't lose this game, because this was a very kind of foregone conclusion. Big Priest is pretty rough when you don't run Lotheb. I'm not trying to beat Big Priest with my deck, right? Like, I don't see it very often. It's not a good matchup, so I don't play for it. What did we learn that game, guys? So we learned to I mean, from what we were talking about at the beginning of the game, right? You want to have the curve in the 1, 2, 3 drop slot, and we didn't have those cards. We had a really bad opener, and we did what we could to open the hand up to make it so we could play for a win, even though we started with a losing hand. We certainly started with a losing hand. We kept a Spellstone, which ended up helping us against the 7/7, but really wouldn't have been a keep if I knew it was Big Priest. I would have most likely not kept the Spellstone there. So weirdly, we almost got there. A key point in that matchup is you can win with Broomstick in almost any, like you can win board with Broomstick in almost any scenario. Like our 8/8s trade into their 7/7s, our 8/8s trade into their 4/8s, our 8/8s trade into their 2/6s if they're running a Mimi list. I always assume aggro and usually beat other decks too. So we want Drain Soul, we want Flesh Giant. We actually want to turn 1 more than we want the Spellstone, because we have the Drain Soul. If he's playing Kingsbane, I think it's free, which might sound weird because Kingsbane used to be like the bane of, pardon the pun, used to be the bane of our existence as Painlock players. So we're coin tapping, which is always questionable, but usually the right play when you have this much healing and a Happy Ghoul and a Flesh Giant. So our turn 1 could have been Voodoo Doctor nothing, or pass, which neither of those is a good play. I'm going to cheat in my own face to change the health total twice for Flesh Giant and activate the Happy Ghoul. This opens up Raise Dead into Cheaty plus Voodoo Doctor and Happy Ghoul. I really like that opener. I like the Happy Ghoul in this deck. So he is playing an aggressive variant. That's excellent. This is how I'm going to show you guys the power of the healing avenue to victory in this deck. Like if he can never get us to 10 health, he's never going to get a big enough Kingsbane to kill us, right? We're actually going to go face. I'm going to tap first. And I'm actually going to Voodoo Doctor my own face and play a Happy Ghoul. So we're just staying high health. We're going to get a Flesh Giant down. We do have to watch out for, I mean, he could have Kingsbane, make a big Kingsbane, play a Blade Flurry, for instance. But I don't think he's going to do that. I think he equips, he plays Buccaneer and then equips Kingsbane. Oh, it's Self-Sharpening Sword. Man after my own heart. More power to this guy. I love that deck. I was playing it with Laboria Sangre, who's another awesome streamer you guys should check out. He streams on Twitch pretty much usually just after I do. So if you catch my stream, you might be able to see me raid him. But Self-Sharpening Sword is an off-meta choice, and it's kind of cool. It should punish Painlock, but I think we have a hand that beats it. So we've had a Voodoo Doctor and a Cheaty Ankle Biter die. So we raise dead. We probably want to play the Flesh Giant this turn. So we're going like this. And we're going like this. We're probably playing a Voodoo Doctor. Could Voodoo Doctor my own my 3/3s to keep them healthy, but I think we just Voodoo Doctor face. So we can play the Flesh Giant and the Voodoo Doctor this turn. We're definitely killing the 2/1. I'm going to go face. We don't actually mind taking damage here because we're so high health, and we do want to be able to, to heal ourselves, to make our cards like Drain Soul do something, and then eventually to play Molten Giants. Plus, I don't want to miss face damage. Like, we are pressuring lethal right now, right? If he goes face here, he's dead. That's absurd. Alright, so we have tap into Power Overwhelming, Drain Soul, and we win. I've cut patches from my self sharpening sword, by the way. I'll be talking about that probably in a different episode of Gaming with Glare, where I think self sharpening sword is actually somewhat well positioned in the meta. It's probably tier 2 or tier 3. It's not amazing, but it's fun. And it can do good things. Like you can make a really powerful, you can present a really powerful board. And it can certainly win games. This guy's not winning this game, though. So we tap, look for PO. We find Tamsin, which is not PO. Do that. And I'm going to trade this. Because if the 8-8 lives, we now have lethal. I'm going to pass. He needs, like, make his weapon, make his hero immune while attacking. The poison, I can't remember what it's called, and I can't look it up because I'm in game. One of the poisons, the one that gives +1 attack and makes your hero immune while you're attacking. Okay, yeah, there's just nothing he can do, right? That's why I run the heal package, and such an aggressive heal package. The Voodoo Doctor put in a lot of work that game. We ended up healing for like 10 between the Voodoo Doctors and the Cheaty Ankle Biters, and we ended up getting a lot of Happy Ghouls going as well. Okay, so we're back in top 3K. That's it for the gameplay part of the video. I'm going to continue to ramble for a little while, though. The video's gone on for 45 minutes, unedited, so probably going to give it like another 10 minutes, and then I'll wrap. Okay, so we learned some things there. I did. Just talking through the games in a really, intentional way. I learned that the Voodoo Doctor is like genuinely really, really good into aggro. We just shut that guy out of the game, right? He had no chance of winning, and he should have had us on like 18 when we were on 28 and then 30. So we were healthy the whole game. It was like he never hit us. He was like poking us with a sword, and we just never. It's like we had invulnerability or something. We just couldn't lose. And the game against the Big Priest, it's just we didn't have Lotheb, so we lost. That's pretty much what it came down to. That matchup becomes way easier with Lotheb because you find Lotheb, and then you raise dead on Lotheb, and then they can't do anything, and you win. It's like the swing turn. So if you're seeing Big Priest, obviously put Lotheb in. Dark Lair can be teched. It's not the best deck, but it's always going to be, I think, until they make substantial adjustments to the power level of certain cards in the deck. Read Animated Broomstick and the heal package, as well as Giants, honestly. I don't know why Giants are a thing or why they keep printing them. They're so broken. The 13 mana Demon Hunter Giant that I think nobody plays in Wild. Not sure about Standard or anything, but that Giant, the Urzul Giant, like why? I don't understand it because they're so broken. But yeah, that's it. Those two games, the loss and then the win, taught us two very separate things that we kind of already knew. I knew anyway, instinctually, but it becomes easier to win against Big Priest with Lotheb, and healing is good. So there it is. There you have it, folks. If you haven't already liked, commented, or subscribed, make sure you do those things on this YouTube video. And I also hope that you're able to stop by my Twitch stream. I love having you guys on board. It makes it a lot more interesting and fun to do my streaming thing, which I do every night from 10 p.m. till about 2 a.m. East Coast US. That's to be flexible. I generally go from about 10 until about 2, but sometimes I'll go 9 to 3 or something if I feel really excited about a deck. Or honestly, today I'm probably my sleep schedule is really whack, so I might end up missing stream because I'll be asleep. Which is to say that I'm on a healthy sleep schedule where I sleep during the night, but usually I stream at night, right? So it's like this weird thing. Anyway, this is, I guess, what you can consider my updated guide on Painlock, and hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something from this. I'm not gonna share the deck codes in the description because there's like 10 of them. I might decide to share the "I'm the Doctor Now" deck code, which I think is my highest performing list of the last like couple of weeks. The win rate's not as high as it is for the other list that I was showing you guys. Not the Battleground Battlemaster one, but the one I'll show it to you right now. The one that I played just before Christmas. This list, I'm like 30-10 or something crazy like that. I won so many games. It might have been like 36-15 at one point. But I'm running Dragon. Like I just ran into good matchups, right? So it's like I think this list is less good than the I'm the Doctor Now list. Even though the I'm the Doctor Now list is 10-8, and the other list was like much more successful. This small sample size and the fact that I queued into difficult matchups means that it looks like this list is worse. It doesn't do as well into Control, but Control's not really out there. The only real like control-ish deck is Freeze Shaman, where they'll control the board. But it's really just freezing the board, right? It's not like it super affects you, and you can play one or even two Dragon Breaths to counteract. Anyway, I feel like I've already wrapped the video, but I'm still talking. I get excited when I'm talking about Painlock, man. It's like, it's been what, honestly, what got me through the pandemic and like being more isolated from people. Because a couple of people who were like my senseis taught me how to play the deck, and now I'm one of the guys who's probably the most experienced with it. They're not the highest rank with it. I have hit rank, what did I hit? 35 mid-season. I've had a rank 9 entry with other than Dark Lair, but I'm certainly well versed, as you guys I hope have seen in this video, and obviously there's always something for me to learn. As much as I love not running Lotheb right now, like I do need some way of beating Big Priest, or I'd like to have a way of beating Big Priest more consistently, so maybe there's something to learn there. But yeah, that should be it from me. I'll have a title card or something at the end of the video for my socials, or if it's not there, you'll see my socials in the description of the YouTube video. And without further ado, I am gonna end this discussion of Painlock, and I will see you guys next week in the next episode of Gaming with Glare.